This is a first-time pinball artist and a first-time pinball game designer, at least commercially speaking, here. And for Mark, of course, it's the homecoming to the show that got him on this particular career trajectory. And it looks like Mark has plenty of notes.
I do.
And so we'll take it away. Leah, you're going to start? Is that the idea?
Yep. Hi. Yeah, so I'm Leah Faske, and I made the artwork for the Avatar Battle for Pandora pinball machine. It's my first pinball machine. Yeah, and I guess you can have that first slide up. It's totally cool. I was planning to talk while I was up.
There we go.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm gonna mostly, I guess, be talking about the journey of making that artwork and how we ended up here. And I'm gonna start with a little bit of background, some pipeline and process, and some considerations and logic behind the decisions that we made for the game. I think will be fun. Next slide. Background. When Mark first reached out to me, I knew absolutely nothing about making art for a pinball machine. I wasn't even really aware that the pinball industry was thriving or had such a wonderful, dedicated, and tight-knit community. My background is primarily in video games, from digital painting to concept art, UI art, stuff like that. I've been doing that professionally for about a decade. And I've been lucky to work with game studios like Ubisoft and Blizzard, where I currently supervise and art direct illustrations for Hearthstone. I also have experience with comics, and I have a master's in sequential art from the Savannah College of Art and Design. So that's just a little bit about me, my resume, whatever. So my experience with games definitely helped me, understanding a lot of the core principles used in pinball art in terms of layout and design. There are a lot of shared values, like ensuring the artwork complements or communicates gameplay rather than confusing that message. Mark, John, Paul, and the rest of the team at Judge Jack were a great help and provided things like templates and photos and references to make things easier on me. I think the first thing Mark sent me was a box of art books and a sticker book.
Yep.
From Avatar. And they still proudly sit on my bookshelf. And I'm incredibly grateful that they took the time to invest in my education and success for this game, so thank you very much.
Yeah.
Next slide. So for the process, for me personally, it started with an art test. I had to make sure that, I was up to snuff for what they were looking for. And then Mark provided the whitewood, then JP made a template, and then there was a bit of brainstorming. And then I started my sketches, moved to colors, to painting, and then any revisions that we needed before shipping the game finally. Next slide. So before I could start, I was given a paid art test. This was to ensure I could deliver on the style and the vision for the pinball machine, both for JJP and Lightstorm.
Yep.
Okay.
And
I forgot to double check that.
We had to submit this to Lightstorm, so
Yeah.
they had to approve.
Yeah, they had to approve me first too. And they asked me to paint Neytiri and the Great Leonopteryx, so a character and a creature. And I suppose since I made the machine, I passed, so that's great. So references were really important. I had to make sure that Neytiri was very on model, and the same for the Leonopteryx, although with a touch of my style. So I was looking up the characters and the movie itself also to see how they behaved. We also we did reuse the Leo art in a couple places on the machine.
It's definitely on the back panel.
Yes.
Somewhere else on one of the models, I think.
Yeah, I think it's on the back glass of one of them too. Yeah.
Did they give you the poses, or did you come up with those yourself?
Oh, I came up with those. That's part of it. Thanks. Yeah, so there was some feedback too. I didn't just submit and then go blind. They worked with me to help me, get exactly what they wanted, which was great. And some of the goals we had in mind with this art style, at least what Mark came to me with, was kind of a comic cover-esque look to these, because the Avatar has comics, and so that's within the wheelhouse to refer to. But with a little more of a realistic rendering styles, and not to the staggering advances the Avatar movies make in CGI. So at least that part was in my head.
Yeah.
Next slide. So Mark provided the whitewood. On the far left is the whitewood that he gave me with the ramps and everything on there. And in the middle is the template that JP, John Paul,
Yep.
made for me. And on the right is how it kind of looked as I was working inside the template, which I think is, really cool. And the whitewood is, really important to have because it creates kind of the base for the art layout on the playfield. And for cabinet art, it's a bit different, but the layout is also important, but it's not as important as the playfield. Because it's one big illustration on the cabinet art. Yeah, I'm not sure if that whitewood is the absolute final.
It's very close.
I think there were a few tweaks.
There were
that
definitely some
happened.
tweaks. I can see an insert that changed shapes, a
Yeah,
couple inserts that changed
exactly.
shapes and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Actually, fun fact: if you go into the service menu and bring up the playfield picture, it's still like a very early version of the
Really?
artwork. We should probably go in and put that into the final version.
Probably.
It still has the yellow at the bottom.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Oh right, yeah. Oh my gosh, yeah. Some changes were made along the way, but after this point, they were pretty minimal, which is important. It is, even though the template doesn't have the parts, it is important for me to see like the ramps and how those things overlap so that I know what will and won't be seen, and that's incredibly helpful. For the template, after the whitewood was nailed down, JP made me that template, as I mentioned, provided some guides and outlines that helped me understand the boundaries, and he also taught me some rules, like what I can and cannot overlap in terms of like buttons and lights, etc. In terms of technical art speak, masks and layers in Photoshop let me paint and draw without overlapping any important areas, which is why it looks so clean on the right there. It's an absolute mess underneath.
Photos or other angles of the actual thing to reference while you were also doing this, or is it just what you had?
It was all just a direct overhead.
Yes,
top
it
down
was
view.
just a
much.
chop down view.
Photos or
Yeah,
anything
that
like
was
that?
actually something that we had to, that they brought to my attention, is that I needed to, for the plastics specifically, I had to offset these things a bit so that when they're seen at the
Layers.
proper angle, yeah,
Right.
they look seamless, or as seamless as possible. Next slide. So this is some sketches of the playfield. I decided to focus on the playfield because I feel like it's there are so many details in it. But so before I even sketched, we discussed the initial vision for the playfield, which was spearheaded by Mark. He had a very clear idea of what he wanted, and in a way, this pinball machine was intended as a love letter to the world of Pandora, more than the story itself. And so the environments became a very strong focus. And we stuck to Mark's initial idea of separating the playfield into, I think, 5 main sections.
I think so.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was water, forest, air, RDA, and
It's just the characters.
yeah,
at
just the
bottom, I
characters.
think.
Yeah, highlighting all the characters.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So at the bottom, it prominently features the main characters, since that's the place that's like closest to the player and you guys. So, and fitting the cast in there and choosing was most important because it's a pretty broad cast, was a little difficult, picking and choosing. And part of that was solved by putting characters on the plastics on either side.
I liked how you chose to do that. Characters with conflict.
Yes, yeah, that was.
Yeah.
that was a
That's
big
how they
choice.
got paired up.
Yeah, it was the two brothers who have conflict, and then Quaritch and Spider,
Yep.
which I'm very happy with how Spider came out. You'll see if you see the game. Yeah, so these spaces were, each had important elements. So the middle left that was dedicated to the RDA, they were like the villains of Avatar. So, Quaritch has become kind of the main villain in these movies. They also, Lightstorm also really liked, or really wanted us to feature vehicles, because the vehicle design is a really cool aspect of the movies. And, things like the RDA base and like really focusing on fire, destruction, and violence, the kinds of things that are at odds with the rest of Pandora. And then the middle right was underwater, which was to, kind of match the concept of the lower playfields, which is where those are located. And also to tie into the second Avatar movie, specifically, since everything's all about water. And then upper right is the sky region. So like Hallelujah Mountains, the floating rocks, and the banshees that they tame in the first movie. And I think Mark really wanted it to feel like you're flying.
Yeah, so like the entire layout is sort of like the story of the movies where they went. Like the shooter lane is like the shuttlecraft flying into the planet.
Yeah.
And then you go past that and you go through the rainforest, through the sky where you get your banshee, and then it comes back through the water area back to your flipper on a full plunge. So it's sort of like telling the story of the movies on a full plunge.
Yeah, it's really great. And a lot of those areas, like how they were implemented, was I feel like you gave me a lot of freedom there.
Oh, yeah.
to just do what I thought fit best. So a lot of it comes from my imagination, and some ideas I'm most proud with are the launch. That was my idea, was to have the pinball, the launch be the shuttle going
that's
to
a great idea.
Pandora. And another one was the climbing the rocks up the right ramp, right upper ramp to like go up to the sky.
With all the tiny Navis in it?
Yes,
Yeah.
there are a bunch of tiny little Navi in there.
Yeah, you have to take a close look. But
Yeah, they're all climbing the rocks. Yeah, and some things didn't make it into the final. Like, for instance, there were anemones at the bottom, which you can kind of see in the sketch there.
Yeah. Look in the service menu, open up the playfield.
Yeah, that's where the yellow comes in.
Before they update it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right. And that ended up not making into the final, but I liked the idea because I thought of, in the second movie, that's kind of like where they lay their dead to rest.
Deceased, yeah.
Yeah, and so your ball is falling to rest.
To its death.
So that, I like that idea.
Yeah. Unfortunately, they didn't.
Yeah, I know. I don't think they wanted any sort of
No
reference
death,
to
really.
Yeah, they didn't even want to like discuss that older brother, really, did they?
No.
They were like, nope, didn't
Nope.
happen. Spoilers.
It's been out for a while. You've had time.
Yeah, so, and also at the bottom of that, the apron, that's
yeah.
not the design,
Yeah.
which honestly, I'm really glad that wasn't the design, because I'm pretty sure painting every single one of those Navi down there would have, incrementally siphoned the light.
So that's a picture. That's a picture from the first movie where they're all praying to the tree,
Yeah, they're
the
all praying to
whole
tree,
tribe.
Which
It
is
would have been
why,
cool, but a lot of work.
Very climax, right?
Yeah.
I mean, just sketching that, I was just like, this is a bad idea, Leah, don't pitch this. Why are you drawing this? This is such a bad idea. And thankfully...
Fortunately, Lightstorm also thought it was a bad idea.
Thank you. Okay, so next slide. So from here we go into the color roughs. And this is just like, meant to be a rough base, to make sure that the color choices are kind of in line with expectation before I take it like to any sort of polish.
You can see the yellow there on the bottom.
Yeah, you can see the yellow
yeah.
there. Yeah, and those anemone ended up like kind of just.
Yep. The
just
tree
a
moved
little-
down and.
Yeah, it did move down,
Yep.
and then we were like, let's just remove them. And yeah, so pinball is, it's known for really bright and vivid colors. And that was something I had to kind of adjust to. I am used to using a lot of color in my work, both personally and professionally, so I really didn't mind that. I love color, but I was asked to bump up the saturation a few times to make things brighter. And color is really important in Pandora, like a lot of blues, a lot of, that really
The green
bright and-
rainforest.
Yeah, the green rainforest,
Yeah.
just so much color in that world. That was also a factor. And, very exaggerated nature colors and like the bright neon kind of colors in the forest at night, in the first movie. It's very, is a beautiful movie to pull from. I'm honestly like so happy I got to do this because it's gorgeous. Next slide. So then we moved on to final, and that's when I get to paint, and that's really fun. And it's probably the most time-consuming task, but I do enjoy it. It's something I like to do. For the artists out there, I like to use a variety of brushes for texture and flavor and adjustment layers. Where my friend? It is best to work with characters and objects layered for like easy maneuverability. So like keeping a character or a plant or environment just completely separated, so things can be moved around and nudged if needed. So that's pretty important. Next slide. So I put in some like more detailed kind of shots of the play field, and the challenges I've faced here and the rendering of these characters was it mostly revolved around staying on model and like matching the likenesses of these characters, which is a pretty tight rope to walk when you're working in a style that isn't like perfect realism. So I'm not taking a photo of them and then just like rendering it out a bit. I'm drawing them by hand and trying to capture their likenesses manually. Thankfully, there wasn't too much pushback. It did not, I didn't need to go back and try and draw them like 20 times or anything, which I'm grateful for. I think we were uncertain about the licensing for Spider.
Yeah, they had insisted that Spider be in the game, so we were putting him in, but it took a while. We had this actors strike for a long time during the development, so that put off any human likenesses for a while, which is why you see Spider's the only one on the play field, actually.
Yeah, that's why we decided to play it safe and only use the Navi version of Quaritch. That's why you don't see his human form on there, because, we can't.
We weren't allowed to talk to them at that point, so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But we put Spider in there, as is, and our solution was going to be, if we couldn't use his face, we were just going to black out that mask that he
We're gonna put
wears.
his mask on.
Yeah, like basically just make it a shield so you don't
Yeah.
see his actual face and you understand that it's the character still. So that was going to be our pinch solution, I guess. Yeah, so as I mentioned, all the art was drawn and painted by hand, so there's no AI used in this. I can talk about that, but this might not be the time or place. I don't know. And yeah, next slide. So this is the upper area. You can kind of start seeing a little bit of the Navi in that bottom right corner climbing that. That was another area that I was proud of, was the that bridge across those lights. That was actually one of the first ideas I had when seeing the Whitewood, was that scene of Jake chasing Neytiri through the bioluminescent jungle at night. It's a very iconic moment, I think, in the movie. Yeah, I had to redraw her pose I think 3 times.
Oh, yeah.
It wasn't Navi enough.
Yeah, they had
They have.
very specific things for certain characters that they want it to do. And like, at first it was like, she looked too much like a ballerina, I think was the feedback.
I can't.
It was something like that.
I don't know. I think they were saying she was wearing too much like a human was the first
Oh,
one.
is that it? Yeah.
Yeah, and then I was like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
And so I had to like watch the movie again and figure out what it was.
The stride wasn't Navi enough. I
Yeah, it
think.
wasn't Navi
Yeah.
enough. And then like I tried another thing, and then they said Jake was running too much like a human. I'm like, but he is a human.
Kinda.
They did go back dial back on that because like he that was like the first time in his avatar body in this scene. So win for me.
Take that, wise.
Yeah. So things like vehicles too, they required like a lot of type precision. And those I did have to reference those like very closely. And I did occasionally use photos as a base because why kill myself? So yeah, I did manipulate the photos though. Some more organic items though, like these, like the forests and the plants and stuff, were a little more forgiving, because those, organic life forms come in all shapes and sizes, so there can be variations there, whereas a machine is manufactured in a specific way with a specific look, and it pretty much can't change unless it's like beaten up or something. Next slide. This is probably one of my favorite sections of the playfield. I had fun painting the whale, and I love the coral reef. It's just all the colors, and yeah, I was happy with how this area turned out specifically.
I really liked your idea of having the wave go over the
Yeah,
lower playfield.
Good transition.
Yeah.
Thank you. Is the I swear these things just kind of come to me. I'm not like sitting in a corner. Yeah, I'm not sitting in a dark corner like yeah. I'm just kind of like, oh, that'd be fun, and then I draw it. So yeah, we went through a few feedback rounds, but overall with Lightstorm, but overall that feedback wasn't too extensive or like difficult to manage, which was great. I did have to make some additional assets at the end, like the Ellie topper.
Yep.
That came back, and we did add the Tree of Voices plus.
Yeah, on top of the ramp, which wasn't there.
That wasn't there in the original, or in the version I had. Yeah. And yeah, so thank you very much. Yeah.
I have a question for you.
Uh-huh.
So famous pinball art director Greg Freres says the thing that's really the hang-up for the first-time artist in pinball is the playfield, and we saw it in that middle of the playfield where you're trying to make a shape that's like so tiny, and it's,
Yeah.
it's you probably have had a lot of upbringing and training and past assignments where you have a big rectangular space and
Yeah.
you compose it. Now here, you're like being given the leftover shape after he put all his windows and
Yeah.
mechs and stuff.
Yeah.
And Greg Ferris would always say that's where first-time artists really lose it, is they just either they hate it or they can't do it right, or but it seems like you said, oh, okay, I'll do that.
Yeah, I mean,
Mark, do you agree that she
Oh, yeah,
was
she did an
easygoing?
outstanding job. Yeah, he was able to do exactly what we asked.
Yeah, I mean, my background in video games probably definitely helped with that. I've done a lot of user interface art, so that requires like working inside a predetermined box a lot. So I guess I am like mentally trained to understand, or like visualize how things can like wrap around important elements. So you both see what you want to see, but not interfere with those UI elements that are important to the player.
So Mark, you're going to be telling us a story here?
Yeah, I have a slide deck showing the non-art side of the development. Going from Whitewood 1 all the way through to the final version. So next slide. So here's Whitewood 1. It's pretty rough. There's not much on it. Where you got the most of this has changed, although those windows never changed. I kept them the same size and shape the entire time.
I thought you made one a little bigger.
No, I think the shape
Really?
itself might have stayed the same. Oh, you know what we did?
like-
It was the trap lines. Had to get a little bigger
okay.
because it was too close. Yeah,
Yep.
yeah. But the shapes themselves didn't change at all. Next slide. So yeah, then from that whitewood, we started building it up, yeah, there's so many differences here. You may or may not be able to see. There's the left ramp is a lot shorter than the final version was. The loop back ramp is really skinny, and the left loose shop, I think this might have the ramp in it in this version, but I was trying to do that playfield level, but every time you tried to do that loop, it would just like clunk on something and fall into the ball lock, which was not what I wanted it to do. So we ended up turning that into a ramp that like drops down on the playfield, right into the orbit. On the right, that 3D printed plastic ramp, that actually didn't change too much. A little bit of the trim and the cut changed, but the shape, I used that yellow 3D print through a couple versions of the whitewood. We were using translucent flippers at the time, which turns out they break a lot. I think I broke all of them in the lab before I was like, okay, I'm done. Let's get some real blue flippers. And it looks like I was still using the fat targets for the kids before I thought, like, hey, what if we used tall, skinny ones like the kids, so they look like the kids.
It's so funny because I remember listening to you hemming and hawing about all of this,
Yeah.
when we were first starting.
Yeah. So she's been through the entire development cycle, basically. I think about this point is where we were looking for an artist, and we brought Leah on board. This version of the playfield didn't have any lower playfields ever. I knew I wanted them, and I kind of just knew they were be about this size, but I hadn't really put them together yet. Next slide, please. And all of this was developed in a damaged Willy Wonka CE cab. So if that was your game, I'm sorry it literally fell off a truck. But we put it to good use when we replaced it for you. Next slide, please. The whole time we're also putting this stuff into CAD, and Leah had a bigger version of this on her deck. This may be a slightly earlier version. This is all sorts of, like, this is a different version of the loopback ramp, but not quite the one. Ended up being the final, and now the lower playfields are being designed. Some inserts got rearranged at some point, or changed their shape at least. But yeah, so once all this is ready, it's like, all right, we're going to build Whitewood 2, and Whitewood 2 is going to be an attempt to be, this might be like what we're thinking of. Next slide. Some random development stuff coming up at this point. On the left, that is the first testing out the infinity lock, and that's just a 8x8 block of wood that we cut out with an insert in it and some lights that I taped to the top, running off of an Arduino, pulsing lights, see how it would work. At this time, I've ordered 10 different sizes of ball bearings to figure out what size would be best for the lower playfield. And that's actually the size we went with. It's like a 3/4 inch ball instead of a 1 1/16, which is the standard size. And we're also experimenting with what kind of silicone or rubber rings we were going to put into it. At first, I was thinking we'd just get the glow-in-the-dark ones that different manufacturers make. And we ended up contacting Pinball Life, and I talked to Scott Denisi, and he's like, "Oh no, that's not what you want. I can get you what you want." So, yeah, yeah. So he actually developed the formula for the UV reactive rings for us, and if you need replacements, they are available on Pinball Life. And that was the first one he sent us, and it just like lights up, like this is perfect. Next slide, please. So now we're ready for Whitewood 2. It's all that stuff in CAD. Whitewood 2 has inserts. Whitewood 1 did not have any inserts. So I'm building it up. Oh, I guess I hadn't quite broke all the translucent flippers. I really wanted them not to break because the idea I want them translucent because I wanted to put inserts under them because make it bioluminescent flippers. Fortunately, the flipper plastic we ended up using just glows under black light, so it doesn't matter. Next slide, please. And here we're building it up a bit more. I built most of like these ramps and stuff myself. We have a laser cutter at work, which we can just go out and cut something and have it done by the end of the day, as long as you bend it correctly. I'm experimenting with the left ramp because it wasn't dropping well onto the upper left flipper. It would just like roll out, go straight down the middle. So I'm like, all right, I don't really want to make more wire forms all the time. So let's start 3D printing a trough to like figure out where it should drop. So on the left, you can see that. On the right, it's pretty close to the final version. I think that wire form above it, we just sort of sawed off and like spot welded on some extensions to make it drop in the right spot, in the new spot. Even after all that, it did not quite work correctly. So we ended up putting in that one white gate, which helps feed the flipper a bit more. You can also see on the right the Tulkun sculpt. That was the original idea for over there, which I liked, but we thought it would be way too fragile. There's too many small fins and like sort of like tendrils coming off of it that we would have been required to put on the model, and I could just see them breaking off. So we ended up switching to the ELU from McFarlane Toys. That model for the Tulkun is actually a full movie 3D model. It was multiple gigabytes in size. They gave us whatever we asked for, pretty much. So if we needed some 3D model from the movie for either our screen stuff or something on the playfield, they were like, here you go. And then we were like, can we have a lower poly version of this because we can't load it in our machines here? And they gave us that too. Next slide. Oh yeah, close-up version of the Tulkun and the lower playfield. That's actually an earlier version of the lower playfield, no crab, and it has 3 large targets on it. I ended up switching the rightmost target to a smaller target because I had to open up the right orbit because you couldn't hit it at all. But once I did that and opened up a bit, it felt pretty good. I also wanted to experiment with a different angle for a lower playfield because most lower playfields are just inline, like normal playfields, so it feels like you're just playing another playfield. I wanted to turn it a little bit to see if that really gave you like a floaty underwater feeling. That along with the tiny ball, which is supposed to represent you're deeper in the water, and the lighterness where you're floating around. Next slide, please. Yeah, and here's the final version with the crab, the 3D print of it. No art yet, but that's pretty much what it ended up being. I think we thickened up the back plastic because that was an easy way to prevent the ball from getting wedged in there. Next, one other thing about this. So you can see the tabs on the side. Those are the 4 nuts you have to remove to take this out. And then there's a few plugs. It's pretty easy. I can do it really quickly. It's not hard at all. And that's something that I was thinking about while building it, is like, how can I maintain this? All right, ramps. So sometimes you don't get things right the first time. Sometimes you don't get things right the third or fourth or fifth or sixth or seventh or eighth or ninth. But the 10th time, it's perfect. So this is the loop back ramp I was talking about earlier. And my original intent on the design was like almost every shot in the game would feed a different flipper. So the idea of this ramp was like, you can only hit it from the upper left flipper, and then it would feed the lower left flipper. Once people started playtesting it, they were hitting it like sort of off from the main left flipper, and it would go halfway up and roll down, and they're like, that's terrible. This is not fun. You need to fix it. So I was like, and then another person told me that, and then by the time like the third and the fourth person told me, it's like, all right, I'm already working on it, guys. Like I know it's not good. So pretty much every day I would come in and be like, all right, how can I make this better? So at first it was just sort of widening it a bit, and that wasn't really helping. And then somebody suggested that like some games for the hit from multiple flippers, you sort of like bend out the side a bit to help guide it in. Avengers Infinity Quest does that on one of their ramps. So I was trying that. I kept widening it, trying to change the angle and stuff like that. And finally, I'm just staring at it, and when I hit it, it's like every time I make this bend out more, I'm making it more flat on to the flipper shot. I should just stop doing this. I am so wrong. And I just went back to the same width that I was at, the wide width, and just like, I'm going to make these walls straight. And as soon as I did that, not only could you hit it from the upper left flipper and the regular left flipper, you could somehow hit it from the right flipper. And I have no idea how that happened. I just said, done, we're good, ship it, yeah. Yeah. And I still have those 10 ramps to remind me that sometimes you have to try that many times.
I remember in a meeting, you just like holding up all of those, like all of those ramps.
You can mount those to a board and onto your office.
Yeah,
Oh
I
my
gotta
God,
do something
yeah.
like that.
You should I was gonna say shadow box frame
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, there's a picture of the final version. Actually, I think that's one of the fat runs. Yeah. So, eventually that worked great, and like it felt good from every flipper, and like you can now loop it from the main left flipper over and over. That's the final version. Actually, that's the second to final version. I realized I didn't need that little visor on top. It would just go onto the rail. All right, next slide. All right, yes. So there are a lot of revisions. That's just some of the many parts
Oh my God.
that I had to scrap. Over and over. I can see like scrap brackets. I can see like wire forms and plastics and.
That's all in a box for the homebrew people, right?
Oh, I really wanted to, and then I needed office space, and like I was like, because now I'm on to the next one, and like now I need to make another pile of this crap. Like, where am I gonna put it?
You just melt it down into a big plaque.
that's what we do.
Dedicated
Yeah.
to all your hard work.
No, we send them off to the metal scrap yard. They get recycled, and so iteration. So if you're building your own game, remember you're gonna have to do things many times. Next slide, please. At this point, we're getting some programming, and we got the Jersey Jack rainbow light pattern, which did not actually end up in the final game. I think there's only one of two Jersey Jack games that don't use the rainbow. The other one being The Hobbit. It just didn't.
Yeah.
Pandora is really colorful, but it didn't seem right for the game. So instead, we came up with this really cool water effect for it, and some sort of spiraling patterns and things like that. But there's some other differences here. Let's see. You can. On the right, you can see we finally moved over to the ELU. You can see where the amp suit is on the right side. That's a really blocky version that we called the Cheese Man. And it was just to like B-size and so we could build the mech before we had the sculpt done. So all the experiments of like how we can make him stab reliably over and over. We got like 3 printed floating mountains. We were also experimenting with powder-coated rails, if you can see in the back, the upkicker. I'll get to that in a minute, why that did not happen. Let's see. Let's see my notes. Oh yeah, this one finally has chromed wireform, so we had samples, so it's starting to look like a pinball game here. And all this is very close to what we ended up with. Next slide, please. So the one on the left is our first printed playfield, and the art wasn't ready yet, so we used the concept art that Leah had. And this working game still exists somewhere in Jersey Jack. I don't know where it is, but last I knew it was still intact. That also has the first test screen print of the UV inks on it, which was just and that's why we got this printed, so we could see, can we do this? It isn't even the final art. It's Jake and Nateri have war paint on when with the UV ink on this. It uses a yellow ink, which we didn't end up going with. And this was Whitewood 3, the blue one. So we were pretty close to final on the layout. And on the right is one of the first test prints of Leah's art. No plastics, of course. But it's other than the color levels and stuff like that, that's pretty much close to the final art. I think we had, this was before we had to change up the insert stuff. So the thing about Pandora is there's no like what we would consider like man-made shapes and things like that. So we had a lot of inserts that were just sort of, pinball inserts. They're rectangles. And they were looking at it and like, this isn't Pandora. You have to do something about the shapes of these inserts. And at first I thought, do I have to make my own insert shapes now? But it turns out they just really wanted them masked off a bit more. They just didn't want the squares and the rectangles and the pill shapes and the diamonds and stuff like that, and the arrows. This is before we actually went in the in lanes. The final version, the inserts are actually covered up, and there's an arrow for each insert. On this one, there's an arrow just through everything, and the inserts are like opened up. Fortunately, like you can see through, you don't mask it off too much. You can still see through those inserts, and I think it actually looks way cooler with the more masked off inserts. It looks more organic and natural and stuff like that. So that was something they were definitely right on, but we didn't think of. Next panel. Okay, so powder-coated ramps, or wireforms. That is actually a UV reactive powder coat. The only color that wasn't like neon was blue, sort of a baby blue. They worked awesome, UV reactive, when we just did the powder coat on them. But then when we were playing it, it was chipping off really fast. So, all right, we got to put a clear coat on it to make it durable. As soon as we put the clear coat on it, no UV. It blocked all the UV. Yeah, so we had to make the decision to not do this because why are we trying to make a UV wireform if it's not going to actually glow. And then I was looking at it, it's like, you know what, the chrome looks really good. Like,
Better without this.
yeah, the chrome looks really good. So you know what, it was a cool idea, but you know what, it's not going to work. We got to move on. Another thing you can see is we now have artwork around the playfield windows, and that was to sort of blend it all in with the rest of the artwork and hide the wood that is the wood ring that's under there, which didn't look great. Yeah, next slide, please.
Did JP make those?
Yeah, he did the
Yeah.
water rings. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, cool.
Topper development. So this was our first sort of like mock-up of the topper. Originally, the topper, this is the collector's edition topper. Originally, the topper was going to be, the main focus was going to be the gas giant that Pandora orbits around. Pandora is actually a moon, not a planet. And we were going to have a rotating orb of Pandora off to the side, and the idea of the cockpit was always there, using the Pepper's Ghost effect, and also the full width screen, so we weren't just squeezing it into the middle for this. So we just mocked it up and like stepped back and looked at it, and we had a screen there so we could reflect and stuff and see how it looks. But nobody could remember the name of the planet, so we started calling it Bloopiter, which is why it's labeled Bloopiter up there.
Now it's canon.
Yes.
Yep. I'm gonna go edit the wiki page. Oh, yep, I knew it.
Yeah, you did it.
I did it.
All right, so next
Yeah,
slide
sure.
there, and that's Eric looking
knew it.
really thrilled to be testing our it's actually teleprompter glass for reflecting that. So that was, we threw a screen up there. It was a laptop screen or something, and Eric went voluntold to go up there and look thrilled about it. Yeah, but it looked really good. So yeah, success. Next slide, please. Here's one of the earlier mock-ups with Bloopiter and the planet. The planet we never got to the point with the planet spinning, but it was supposed to spin around. But Lightstorm has only ever developed one side of Pandora. So we asked them if they had like a global map or something like that, and they're like, actually, we don't. We don't know what the other side of the planet looks like either.
Oh, wow.
So in their assets, they had like their from space image of Pandora they used in the movie. But yeah, it only did one side. So JP actually duplicated both sides because they didn't want us inventing what the other side of the planet looked like, and sort of like blending it together so it would work out. So we do have like a wraparound texture for all of, doubled up half of Pandora. But
Maybe it is the same on both sides.
it could be. No symmetry on Pandora.
Symmetrica.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So this one is an early version of the UI for the shuttlecraft. And at this point, Lightstorm had insisted we would have like the windshield. Well, no, it's not a windshield. No wind in space. But sort of like the panels in front. So we added that. And yeah, all the UI elements, they gave us gigabytes of assets from the movies to do, and so we can make it authentic. And they also allowed us to, there's they have a website which has the Pandorapedia on it, which is like information about all the creatures, all the plants, all the vehicles and stuff like that for, that they've come up with so far.
Yeah, I had that bookmarked.
So we were also able to harvest all that information, and so in attract mode, it'll pop up a window and like point at where on Pandora this could be and give you some information about it. So you can do that. It's actually stuff from the Avatar video game in there. Too.
Yeah. I think some of the plants I referenced.
Yeah.
Like all the plants, everything in this game except for like maybe a few minor filler things are like pulled directly from the world. Like they all exist in Pandora. So I'm just like collaging all of these plants and stuff.
So that gives you a bunch of information, but here's where we started going in a different direction. We were starting to think that the star of the show is Pandora. It's not the planet, and also that globe that we're developing doesn't really fit there at the scope, the scale that we want. It's rubbing against the back wall. It's rubbing against the windshield. So like we were like, why are we doing this? Just to make this about Pandora. It doesn't have to be the gas giant planet. So that's basically it. This version is where we decide. We're not quite on the right track. Next slide, please. Yeah. So I don't really like custom shooter rods because they feel weird. I wanted to have something that felt good, and I wasn't coming up with anything. So actually, Erin, my wife, suggested an arrowhead. And that's something that you just feels good to peel back and like let go. So this is our first 3D print and test of the CE shooter rod. Next slide, please. And here's one of our early first paint jobs on it. It got some revisions, but that's the only one I had a picture of. Next slide, please. And we decided to also go with a couple McFarlane toys on the playfield, the Banshee, which I first suggested just getting one type of Banshee, just buy them in bulk from them, and then I proposed that to Lightstorm, and they're like, no, that's not what you're gonna do. When a Navi gets their Banshee, the Banshee picks them. So you're gonna buy a whole bunch of them, and whatever game you get, that's your Banshee.
Well,
So,
I didn't know that was their idea.
Yeah.
That's great.
And I was like, well, you're right. We're gonna do that. I did not think of that.
Can't you slot it out too? Like if you want a different one?
If you do want another one, they are McFarlane Banshee toys.
So you can choose your own Banshee.
I'm not supposed to promote modding your game, but they are off the shelf and they're pretty easy to retrofit into it. You can also see an earlier version of the floating mountain sculpts. There's no waterfall, there's no detail in the plants and stuff like that. And that's something that we ended up putting in later to make it look cooler. But you can see the test I was trying to do. I was trying to make it so the back mountain looked like you couldn't see the wires holding it up. And you can kind of see it, but they are pretty well hidden over there. Next slide, please. Yeah, and here's actually an earlier version of the paint. This is not the final. It doesn't have like the vegetation on the rocks. They thought the rocks didn't really have the right texture for their floating islands. And something they pointed out that I didn't realize: the waterfalls coming off of those mountains, they never come from the top. They come from the middle. So we ended up moving that waterfall into the middle. Yeah, and that's another test of like, can you see the wire from the angle the player's going to be seeing? You can see it a little bit for the back one.
I just had an idea, and I'm not going to say it because it would have
All right,
been cool.
next time.
Mark, about 10 minutes?
Okay. So there's an early amp suit when we finally got it. We couldn't use the McFarlane toy. It was a little too fragile. So, it was the right size, but yeah, it couldn't hold up. So we had to do our own. And you can also see some more of the concept art here. It's an earlier version. Next slide. Yeah, and that's an early paint job without a lot of the details. We called him Captain Stabby during the development process.
Well, doesn't he just kind of like?
Yeah. So each amp suit has like a number on it. If it was actually Quaritch's amp suit, it would be number 1, but we put number 10 on it because it's the 10th Jersey Jack game.
Nice.
So a little Easter egg there. Next slide. There's some early art, and the yellow buttons on the collector's edition are not standard yellow. We actually picked a color to go with the artwork, and that would match both sides. It's more of an amber color. Not that the standard yellow looks bad on it. We just we're making our own buttons, so why don't we just do the color we want? So that's a little attention to detail we did. It's in a Godfather cabinet too, with like Guns N' Roses legs. Anyways,
I
next
really
slide.
like that Art Deco on the.
Yeah.
the edge.
There's
Why
an
did we
early
keep
version of
that?
the ramp molds done in wood. Actually, not ramps, they're subways, which I got to go out to the manufacturer and see how this is done, which is really cool. Next slide. Early placeholder graphics. So yeah, so that was before we had like the crab animations. That was that guy hanging out in the corner. Yep.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I missed that googly-eyed crab. Next. Oh, here's a picture of filming the 20 minutes behind the scenes making of, whatever we call it. It wasn't really a making of. It was just talking about the game in depth. And it was done in one of those video wall rooms, so they can do like all the walls and the ceiling. So you can see they're actually using the ceiling as like lighting for the set. I didn't take many pictures of this because I was pretty busy filming stuff, and I was just so excited about it. But that's actually Grant Henry, aka Stemage, who did the audio for this and did awesome job on that. And fun fact, he also did the music for my Metroid game and guided me through how to do all the sound effects, and his wife did the callouts for it.
Nice.
So I got to work with him twice. Next slide. And that's not even all of the collector's edition's signatures that I had to go through.
How's your wrist?
It's fine now. Next slide. And then manufacturing starts. So LEs are first, these LEs here. So that's the cabinet line and the playfield line. You can see one of the protective mats they use on the playfield so don't scratch it. That's another thing that I didn't realize that I have to make as part of the design process. Is, what's the pattern for that? Next slide. Here's some sub-assemblies. That's sort of like the jump horn ramp that goes around back to the right flipper. The ELUs are already on it when they put it in. We try to put as much stuff on a sub-assembly so it's easier to assemble later. Make them in small bits and then put the small bits together. Next slide. So there's the one on the left is one of the, getting to the end of the line. We're still figuring out when do we put the playfield windows on? Do we put them on now? Do we put them on later? At this point, we weren't putting them on until final tests, but eventually we realized the material we use is pretty scratch resistant, so they're fine to put on earlier in the process. And the box on the right, that is the first game in a box.
Woo.
So that was a long time coming.
Where'd it go?
It went to either Brett or Leonard. So the owners of two of the owners of Jersey Jack get the first off the line. Next slide. Then we had our media day, so we had people come through and tour the factory. So this is just a picture of everybody who was there. Next slide. And we also set these up so they could play them for some of the first people to play it. Next slide. And then this is the first one on location at Antarium. I had trouble getting a picture of it by itself because everybody kept playing it. So, next slide. And this is one of the first tournaments it's in with some guy who was really good at pinball. I don't know.
That mustache.
I call that the sharpshooters.
Yeah, it is. Yeah. And next slide. Oh, that was it. So,
Okay.
yeah.
Good work. All right, we can take a couple questions, but remember there's a JJP seminar with food,
Pizza.
6:30.
Pizza.
Food, pizza and desserts this year in honor of our 10th anniversary. Okay, Ryan, you have a question? Oh,
Be a good kid and wait for the microphone for the stream.
okay. Run over there.
Just go ahead. I was told you're loud enough. Somebody told me you had to lose weight, so I made you rock. It was Jillian. Jillian's fault. All Jillian's fault.
So first of all, I just want to start by saying once again, congratulations to both of you for accomplishing this monumental task. I am so proud of I've met you today, but I'm proud of you too. I'm so proud of Mark for everything he's gone through. I have a question for each of you. Let's start with Leia because your presentation was fantastic. We don't get to see a lot of people. We don't get to see a lot of in depth from the artists around here. They kind of just melt into the background and go away. And I'm so glad that you're here and that you're telling us a little bit more about your process. So one of the things I found out from Mark during his venting during this process at our league night is the UV inks.
Yeah.
So I want to know, how was it working with the UV inks on the playfield for you? How did that factor into your decision-making process, and what did you have any surprises where something looked awful in UV or better in UV than you expected? But how much of that was even your problem?
Not much of it was
Yeah.
my problem, actually. That was JP, I think.
JP and Mark Molitor
Yeah.
did that layer.
Okay.
They
Yeah.
enhanced her work with the UV stuff. Yeah.
So they just showed you
So-
something, and they're like, "Here, it's better," and you're like, "Oh, it is."
Yeah,
It
right.
was-
I was like, cool.
Great.
UV, great.
It was
yeah.
the thinking was sort of like, Leah's doing a lot of work, and we don't want to burn her out too much. So why don't we offload this other task to our internal artists? Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
And so, Mark, I've made it a tradition of asking a very sentimental question at all of your seminars. I'm going to skip that just one time. So now you've finished this entire process. Shut up. It's fine. I'm already going to cry. Don't make me do it. I will. So now that you've been through this entire process, and you and I have had a couple of nights where you're like, "Oh, what a rough day," or "Oh, this was a great day." I still remember the day he came to me at League and told me, "I got my artist." He wanted you so bad on this project, and he wasn't sure he was going to get to have you, and he was ear to ear grins all night, even though I'm pretty sure he got his ass kicked at League.
Oh yeah. Probably.
But he was like, "It doesn't matter. I got her. I got my artist." He wouldn't tell me who, and that was fine. But he was so happy to have you. So that was a small victory along the process. So we have battles every day.
Mm-hmm.
We came from homebrew where we're doing literally everything ourselves, and no one is going to tell us no for any reason. And you go into a world where you are now part of a massive team, and there are any number of people above your head that can tell you no whenever they want to.
Mm-hmm.
However, you found out eventually, as the game designer, some of those people you get to overrule. Say, "No, I'm the designer. It's my job." So what was the biggest battle during this process that you won because you knew you were right? I don't care if it's because you said so or because we tried everything and found out that you were right. But what was your best personal victory during the entire creative process, no matter how big or small?
That you can
What
talk
made you the
about.
happiest?
Careful.
The artist, right here. We already went over that one. I gave him the easy answer. He got his artist, but
So
what else?
Besides that, being able to keep both lower playfields.
Yeah.
Which one was on the chopping block?
The pop bumper one.
I'm glad you kept it.
Is basically you have this much time to make it fun, or else it's gone.
Oh.
So we made it fun, and it's in the game. So
I'm glad you succeeded.
Yep.
So again, congratulations so much to both of you.
All right, well, the real test, though. Are you going to do another pinball machine ever?
Yeah, if I have the opportunity.
All right, that's the right answer. Okay, well, I think we're a little time constrained here, but you guys are coming back for the 6:30 event, and the game is here. We'll be talking about that, and the rest of the JJP team that happens to be here in Marlboro will be all up front here. And pizza will be out in the hallway leading over to this lower door here. So see you then.
All right. Thank you all for coming.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, this is 6.
Oh.